familiar face here for wrestling fans, James Ellsworth. You had an extensive run in WWE, so you've been chokeslammed by Braun Strowman. I think reverse chokeslam, which seems like it's worse. Styles clashed. Miz got you with the skull-crushing finale.
I've taken Sister Abigail. I've taken the Dirty Deeds from Dean Ambrose from John Moxley. I've taken the Attitude Adjustment and the STFU from John Cena. I had a blast.
What feels the worst?
The reverse chokeslam from Braun.
It looked like it.
Painful. Yeah, but luckily I'm a professional. I didn't, die, but it hurt. Yes. Yeah, that one is very hard to prepare for. It's so hard to prepare for. They had him to stop doing it because not everybody could take it as good as I took it. Not to toot my own horn, but no, it's a hard move to take.
Sure. So you're doing your promo before the match with Braun. Did the two hands catchphrase, did you have that before, or is that something that came up with for the show for Raw?
I knew I was punching him twice that day, and it wasn't in the promo they gave me, and I asked Jimmy Jacobs, who was the writer that had the promo for me, I said, can I say this line, any man with two hands has a fighting chance, because I'm hitting him twice, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's a great line, go said it. And I kind of took it from Rocky V, because in Rocky V, he says, I figure if you have two hands, you have a chance. That's what he said. So I just added on to that. Wow. And lo and behold, that was my catchphrase.
Have you sat back and really thought kind of what that's done? That's really an inspirational thing. I know it's kind of a wrestling gimmick that night, but it really is kind of a thing for smaller guys like yourself and like me, and even guys not in wrestling. Have you ever sat back and thought, that's really an inspirational piece, and if people told you that?
I mean, yeah, I hope if I inspired one person to become a wrestler and chase their dream of becoming a wrestler, and they were a small guy and not sure if they were big enough to do it, if I inspired one person to do that, then yes, I think so.
Yeah. Now, I read somewhere that Vince maybe said something to you after the match. You did a great job, or had some words for you. Is that true?
Yeah, so after the match, Arn Anderson, who was the agent for the match, came up to me and said, man, you did awesome. He goes, Vince wants to see you. And I was like scared, because Vince never wants to see an extra talent. Like, I was scared to death. And Vince goes, oh, that was great. He goes, I'm gonna hire you. And I was like, wow. I thought he was kidding. I was like, oh, thanks. He goes, no, I'll be in touch. And he walked away, and I'm like, and then 6 weeks later, he called me and hired me. It was great. Well, I knew that's what he said, but I didn't know what to think of it. But, I mean, he was a man of his word. He kept his word, and he hired me.
What about Jericho? Did he reach out to you after that match? Did you know Chris before that?
No. So Chris, he told me the story. Chris was backstage watching the match with Seth Rollins, just on the monitor. And Jericho's like, who's this dude? Like, he looks weird. Like he's a wrestler? Like, making fun of me. And then I had the match, and, that was the best match I ever had. And I say that because I know it's 1 minute and 29 seconds long, but my facial expressions, my selling, my promo, I did everything like you're supposed to do it. And it was the closest thing to perfect I've ever done in a ring.
Yeah.
And so Chris was sitting there watching it, and when it was over, he was like, oh my God, that kid's really good. Like, he made me eat my words. And he called me that night. He got my phone number from one of the referees, because he asked in the locker room, anybody know that kid? And one of the referees and I went to the same wrestling school.
Okay.
And he got my number from him, and he called me that night. He said, look, man, you have something special. You were really good. He's like, I didn't know what to think of you when I saw you. I was like, this guy's a wrestler? Oh, my God. And he's like, you really did a good job. And I was like, yeah, Vince told me he's going to hire me. I don't know if he's kidding. He goes, no, if he told you that, he's going to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That first Ellsworth chant, do you remember when it was and what was going through your mind? I don't know when the first time it happened was.
It was, so they brought me back, and I did a SmackDown where I was going to team with AJ. They were
surprise.
And against Cena and Ambrose. And I remember when I came out that time, they were doing it was in Philadelphia, and they were doing it. And the Miz came out and beat me up, gave me the skull crushing finale, and I didn't wind up beating the match. That's the first time they started doing it. And then when I came back a couple weeks later and wrestled AJ for the first time, that's when they really got loud with it. And I'm like, Ellsworth's my real middle name.
Right.
And I'm like, this is I was just like, what is going on? I was just in shock like everybody else was watching it. And I'm like, this is cool. Yeah.
So you've landed a finisher and pinned a WWE champion. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot, man. I remember being in WWE, and it really didn't hit me. Once I was done with WWE, and I got to sit back and look at everything I did, I was like, man, 5-year-old me, somebody was telling me, you're going to pin the WWE champion one day. And that 5-year-old kid, I made that 5-year-old kid proud. That's right. All I ever wanted to do was run. And then you're in there with the best wrestler in the world, who was AJ Styles, in my humble opinion. And the crowd's chanting my name, and we're wrestling for the WWE title. And to pin him and all that. Like, it's just, yeah. Sometimes I sit down and go, well, did that really happen? Was that like a dream? Like, or like, it happen? And it's cool, man. I'm very blessed that I was able to do that.
So you did that. You also technically won the first women's Money in the Bank briefcase. If you can only keep one of those 2 times, what do you keep?
Man,
Is that a possible question?
Well, like I said, if you're in the ring and you're wrestling for the WWE title, and the referee's raising the title, and you're watching it, and you're listening to the crowd chant your name, and you're in there with the best wrestler in the world, nothing beats that.
Yeah.
Unless you actually win the belt.
I think my favorite moment of all your moments, and there were a lot of them, you're up there with the Survivor Series team, you're in the corner, and Jericho looks at you. He says, "What is that, or who is that?" And you made the list that night.
Yeah.
Honorable?
Yeah, it's got to be honorable. They're like, so there's a lot of people at autograph sessions that have the list, and they want to get an autograph that everybody that he put on it.
Yeah.
And I'm just one of them. So every time I see that, I'm like, like, Jericho's hilarious. I still talk to him to this day. We became good friends.
Yeah.
Off all that. And yeah, to this day, he's still reinventing himself. But that list thing was one of the best things he's ever done, and I got to be a part of it, which was cool.
All right, on to music. I'll kind of transfer with the Jericho thing. He's obviously a singer, Fozzy. You're a rock and roll guy.
Oh yeah.
How big a rock and roll guy are you?
Oh, I love it, man. Yeah, I alternative rock especially. So I love music in general, but rock and roll is my go-to.
Favorite bands?
So my favorite band ever is the Offspring, alternative rock, punk
Okay.
rock. And I actually went to an Offspring concert a couple months ago in Maryland, where I live, and I reached out to them because they kind of talked to me before when they made an action figure of me in WWE. I have Offspring tattoos, and they had to put the tattoo on the action figure. So WWE reached out to them to make sure if it was okay, and it was. So I reached out to them and thanked them, and we kind of talked. And I said, hey, you guys are coming to Maryland. I'd like to meet you. So after the show, they brought me backstage, had shots with me.
Wow.
Like my favorite band ever. Like this.
Another moment.
Yeah, this is like a couple months ago. Like
that's
it's
crazy.
the end of 2021. That was cool, man. But that's my favorite band ever. I saw Korn and Stained. You're wearing a Korn shirt. I saw them last year. Stained open up for them. An amazing show.
Stained. We saw that show in Atlanta, in Alpharetta, in Georgia. Stained. Probably not the biggest name for some of the harder metalheads in the world, but that Stained show is really unbelievable. I don't know about your show, but the crowd was into Stained.
Yes.
It was like a sing-along.
Yeah, I came to see Korn and I liked Stained,
Uh-huh.
but I left an even bigger Stained fan.
I did too.
Because they were, like you said, they're so good in concert. I'm so impressed. I had such a good time.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Who's a band you haven't seen yet you want to see?
That's a good question. That I haven't seen. Man, I try to make it out to every band.
You go lots of shows, don't you?
Yeah, like I'm trying to think who have I missed or who haven't I seen yet. Like, man, it's such a good question because I'm thinking in my head. I've seen everybody that I like for the most part.
We have too.
But who is one that I haven't made it out to? Man, such a good one.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, because I've seen Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne.
So you've seen Ozzy. I've seen Ozzy.
Blink 182. Like if you go to the punk rock genre, I've seen Green Day. I've been going to shows my whole life, so it's like I pretty much have seen everybody that I've want to see. But it's such a good question. I'm pondering. I know there's got to be a band out there that
it'll hit you on the way home.
System of a Down. I have not seen them.
He loves them.
System of a Down. I have not seen them.
We wanted to go to the LA show a couple weeks ago, just couldn't swing it. I hope they do another. So if they do another tour, hopefully you'll go and I'll get to go too.
Oh yeah, I've not seen them.
Well.
Like Slipknot, I've seen. Like I'm thinking of bands in my head. Like and they're the only ones I can think of.
So if there's a band you could do a live entrance to, a live walk down the ramp entrance to, who would it be?
Oh, the Offspring. It's my favorite band.
Sure.
You know, the Ellsworth character in WWE with Carmella was a lot like the Pretty Fly for a White Guy character in the video for that song. And I would always watch that video and think I'd wear the cap backwards and act like I'm hard and I'm not and all that stuff.
That's fun. James, thanks so much. I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, man. Take care.